I was in a situation where I lost my voice. I was walking on eggshells. I was with a narcissist and it was abusive in every way. You fall into that. It doesn't happen in one day. They peel you back slowly until you are really a shadow of yourself. Am I just here to tick your box? Or am I here because regardless, you know I'm the best for the job? This piece of cloth, it's not a barrier unless other people's ignorance allow it to be. Just because you don't see yourself doesn't mean that you shouldn't be seen. Listen, if you can show up on stages in front of thousands and make the room cry and laugh, what is my excuse? I can't even see your face.
Khalila Lister is the founder and CEO of Power of Voice Academy. And she's a trailblazer in public speaking for Muslims and a prominent TV presenter. With experience on stages like TEDx as a curator for TEDx Bethnal Green Road, Khalila has been recognised as one of the top most influential Muslims in Europe in 2023. And she received the She Awards for breaking the glass ceiling. Through Power of Voice Academy, she helps Muslims worldwide enhance their public speaking skills, transforming them from being voiceless to impactful speakers. Her mission is to amplify underrepresented voices and ensure their stories are heard globally. Khalila, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. And what an incredible introduction. I really appreciate you having me on and helping to represent our voices too.
That's a very important discussion. So can you share a little bit about your personal journey and how your experiences have really influenced the type of work that you do and the voice that you want to give to women in your community?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a revert. I was not born Muslim. My family are actually Jewish. However, they're not religious. So I was brought up typically British without any religion in my household. And I went to stage school. So my life was around, I wanted to act. I was hosting quite a lot of big celebrities. I was very much into the hip hop industry and I was having a really promising career very fast from around the age of 14. So along the way, I personally found that a lot of the celebrities, although they have everything the world could offer, money, cars, girls, right? There was always something missing with a mass majority. I felt like there was something missing that wasn't actually giving total happiness. And that's when I went on a soul searching journey at just 18 years old. Never thinking it would lead me to Islam. If you knew me, I was the party girl. I'm very extroverted. So I was on the stages and suddenly I found spiritual connection in Islam because Islam really is a religion of peace, despite misconceptions that are portrayed in the media. So that was my journey. And in a nutshell, I didn't understand coming into Islam that I could continue being the person I was before. It took a really long time. Really, I've only done it in the last 2 years since 2020, so 2 to 4 years, where I've understood that, yes, I cover very drastically, very dramatically. I'm quite a dramatic person, maybe that's why, but it doesn't need to silence me. And the more I've got into this work, getting back into the speaking world, I've worked with TEDx and other amazing opportunities that have come my way once I've realized that I can have a voice. I have seen more and more Muslim, especially Muslim women, who are incredibly skilled, professionals, doing incredible things, and not having the courage to share their own stories and listening to a narrative that tells us that we shouldn't share our stories. And that really ignited a passion in me to just advocate that just because you don't see yourself doesn't mean that you shouldn't be seen. And that's really the work that I've been blessed to do now. And it's not just about Muslims, it's about anyone who doesn't fit the mold of what success should be. Create your own. I don't like boxes anyway. And that's really what I'm very passionate about.
Sounds amazing. Now, violence against women and girls is a particular area of interest, including domestic violence, and it does remain a critical issue. How do you feel Muslim communities address and combat these issues? And are those methods effective for survivors?
So I'm going to say that I want to address firstly the misconception or the thought that Muslim women are oppressed. I myself did end up in a domestic abusive marriage. It does happen. It happens in the Muslim community. It happens in the non-Muslim community. However, Islam does not promote, accept, allow any kind of injustice towards any human being. It's about survival. You can even eat, even though we're not allowed to eat pork. If you're about to die and there's only pig, you can eat it. Islam is about saving lives. It's about celebrating. And there's actually even an entire verse in the Quran called Surah Talaq, which is about the empowerment of women, how you should treat a woman, what should happen if you are going to divorce. Talaq means divorce. Do it with kindness. You're supposed to still support her. There are so many things that empower the status of a Muslim woman. So I think, unfortunately, due to patriarchal stereotypes that have come in, cultural taboos, misconceptions have come in that really are not from the religion. There are times where women do find themselves in situations where they are in domestic abuse, as I said, as unfortunately in the non-Muslim world, the unreligious world, it happens. And it is really a case where it's just important to educate ourselves. There is a lot of support for Muslim women. There are charities. If you're a revert like myself, there's incredible charities such as Solace, Revert to Reality, that are really here to support women through situations that they may fall into. You do find spiritual abuse. None of this is from Islam. And it's really important that we understand this as a society, that women, no woman, no man, because abuse happens on both parts, should ever be in a situation where they're not free to be themselves. I was in a situation where I lost my voice. I was walking on eggshells. I was with a narcissist and it was abusive in every way. And what people need to understand is that you fall into that. It doesn't happen in one day. They peel you back slowly until you are really a shadow of yourself. And there is a lot of support for women to come back. We are a religion of community. We advocate for sisterhood, for brotherhood. And it's just getting out of that situation, knowing that it's not okay. Like I said, there's a whole verse in the Quran for the treatment of divorcing women, just to show how much respect we should be getting, and is what we believe is the word of God. So if that shows us how we should be treated, these other ways that have fallen, which come from a corrupted mindset, that come from a society, whether it is cultural misconceptions or otherwise, that it's not okay. And it is a very strong problem in our society today, in Islam and not in Islam. And it's one that we need to tackle by speaking up about it and advocating for the fact that no abuse is ever okay.
No, indeed. And between the points that you made about in the last few years, you recognizing that you can still be the person that you were before in the environment that you're in now, and coming out of a situation that, as you say, you know, where you experienced a level of abuse. And again, in both of those instances, it seems to me there's been a reclaiming of your voice. And now you're obviously sharing that, which is fantastic. My question, though, becomes how detrimental has it been for you personally? And do you feel that it is for other women and girls, regardless of the experiences that they're having, when they're not able to share their voices and have them heard?
Yeah, really beautiful question. Obviously, I acknowledge the fact that I have a creative background. I have less experiences of having been on the stages in front of thousands. So it was something I've been able to pick up and create a new life for myself and for my family. And not everybody has the opportunity, wants the opportunity. Not everyone wants to be on a stage or on TEDx or anywhere else. What's important is that everyone's skills, expertise, passions, goals, individual. And when I say reclaiming your voice, it doesn't mean you need to be the extroverted loudest in the room. Confidence to me is subjective. It's about finding yourself again, falling in love with yourself again. As Muslims, as Muslim women, there are certain boundaries, if you like, that, I'm not going to go in the club and drink alcohol, which I used to do. I'm not going to do that. I don't miss it anymore. And that's a restriction that I accept. But as much as we may see it as a restriction, it's always things that are good for us. And there are so many other things that we can do. To me, as Muslim women, we are liberated. And so, as I said, if you don't want to be the loudest in the room, it's just about finding what you do want to do. Some women love to sew. Some women want to pick up sport. Some women want to have a thriving corporate career. Whatever it is that you want to do, it's about reclaiming that. And I really think that helps you build yourself back up again. I'm 37. I definitely took till now to really know who I am again. And that's okay. I think it's never too late. And I think that's very, very important that we know that age is not a restriction. Whatever we've been through is not a limitation, it's our strength. And so it's just finding your voice, however that looks, whatever your passions are, and walking through and continuing your life, because that's when you get to experience the ability to put in boundaries, the ability to not allow other people to take from you because you're already full within yourself. It's really important.
Yeah, no, sounds like it. You mentioned there a couple of things in terms of, for example, what people may assume about Muslim women. Can you just expand on what you think some of the most common misconceptions are, and even taboos, in terms of, what people think it means to be a Muslim woman?
Yeah. When people look at me, someone who shows up online fully covered, automatically words that come to mind are derogative. They are, she wears that for her husband. She is oppressed. Oh, poor you. You must be uneducated. Terrorist. All words that have been put into our mind. Yet, if you meet me, if you talk with me, this piece of cloth, it's not a barrier unless other people's ignorance allow it to be. I'm not going to make it a barrier. I'm as open. I can still be fun, have a personality. I'm not the most pious woman in the world, despite outwardly people presuming, oh, well, she's unapproachable. And I think a lot of it stems from ignorance. And again, that's why I think I'm so passionate. I am so passionate about speaking up, because communication can bridge gaps. Our stories unite us as humans. We have all walked in different shoes, but ultimately we're all journeying towards the same goal, which is happiness. Regardless of our personal views, how our upbringings have shaped us, ultimately, we all want happiness. And that's a shared human emotion. And we are humans together. And that's something that, unfortunately, we don't think of towards a Muslim woman, especially who may be dressed like me or covered. It seems as though she's so oppressed. And yet, me personally, I was someone who was in the industry that I was young, show more skin, wear your top a bit lower, come on. And when I started to embrace modesty, I started to get comments like, you're starting to look a bit like a granny. And so for me, taking my power back is covering up. I feel like now I'm judged through my mind. Which is personal. Everybody has an opportunity to decide how they want to show up. And I think that's what's important for us to start this conversation. However you choose to dress, however you choose to look, it doesn't need to stunt your ability to make changes in the world or live your life to the full.
What do you feel are some of the most significant challenges, though, particularly whether they be societal, whether they be personal, that, again, Muslim women are facing?
There's a lot of inner self-limiting beliefs. So I work with a lot of Muslim women. Obviously, I run Power Voice Academy, which is a public speaking academy. And the majority of women I work with are professional women. I've had women who have 7-figure brands that are just incredible, are doing ground shattering work. I have women who are head managers in large executive firms, lawyers, teachers, you name it, they are bosses. When it comes to sharing their own personal stories, the voices come, and it may be from their family. That's being unpious. That isn't really how a Muslim woman should be. They have these voices in their own heads that might come from their family, that will come from media. They don't see themselves on the pages of magazines. They're only just starting to see themselves in these jobs in the world. And often they know that they may be there just to tick the diversity and inclusion box. Even though they are the most skilled and they're incredible, they still have this battle. Am I just here to tick your box? Or am I here because regardless, you know I'm the best for the job? And so often limiting beliefs come into our sisters' heads. And it's just important that we work through that, because you do have as much right to be in those spaces. You are skilled, you are able, and the more we see ourselves, the more we open the doors for our future generations to see themselves too.
Do you feel that that has a lasting impact on the well-being of Muslim women, and even the opportunities that then become available to them or that they actually pursue?
Yeah, absolutely. I recently did a talk, a very large multi-international media company, I won't name who, but it was a fight for me to in there. As soon as they saw I cover my face, it was a no. And they were like, there's no one who will be able to empower and represent this conversation more than her. Yet it was a huge battle. And once I did it, it was fine. It was absolutely incredible. And I had so many wonderful comments where people were like, okay, we can open this door more to people who we didn't think, because obviously there's a uniform, there's a certain image that you want to come in that I clearly rebel against. But yet, when you show up, when you push through, these doors do happen. It happened to me with TEDx. I got TEDx purely through being in a coaching call, and the coach asked one of us in the room to share our story. I mean, I've done storytelling at university, storytelling, I teach storytelling. I was like, come on, share your story. But I was so nervous because it was majority male and white male in the room, and I didn't know how I'd be perceived, but I did it. And it was after that coaching call that one of them reached out to me and he said, look, I'm in California and I run TEDx, and I'd love for you to come and speak on this TEDx with me. And that was one of the first doors that really opened and changed my life. And it was because I took that step to speak, even though I was petrified, even though I knew they probably were looking at me thinking, does it even speak? Yeah, that opened that door. And then I went on and got a license to curate my own TEDx events. And I've then got 17 other speakers that perhaps wouldn't have onto such a platform. And it's a ripple effect. It's taking that step, being that person to push through where maybe you don't see anyone else doing it, so that, as we've said, other people can then follow through.
I just wonder whether the fact that you are a revert has actually helped you to be more of an advocate. What are your thoughts on that?
I think yes, and I think no.
Okay.
So I had a conversation with another revert who is an incredible business coach, and we both said that we noticed that a lot of the women coming through as leaders in positions that were not otherwise held by Muslims but have been held by non-Muslims are reverts. And that can be a strength that we bring in. We're able to, my family, for example, celebrate me doing creativity. They don't look down on it. They don't see it as you should educate yourself more. I've always had theatre in my blood. My cousin is in the theatre. My aunties were in the theatre. So they didn't ever say to me, no, don't go to stage school, don't go to theatre school. Whereas I know, for example, a lot of my clients from like the South Asian background, their parents are advocating for them to go into law or be dentists or doctors. And they would really look down. They were like, well, actually, I just want to do art. So yes, in that stance, we're able to bring in and be like, actually, Islam doesn't not allow this. It's we've got into this cultural misconception, but look at the scriptures, look at the women around the prophet, peace be upon him. One of his wives was an entrepreneur. She was a CEO. It's okay. And the other reason why I say no is since coming into the business world, I have met the most incredible born Muslim women who are doing incredible things that I didn't even realize existed. And I'm like, okay, you are here. It's not just a revert thing. There are many women doing incredible things, but I think it's still new. It is still new. So at the same time, if we look back over time, there have always been Muslim women who've done incredible things, who are thought breakers, who are thought leaders. And it's just acknowledging that, because it's not celebrated enough, and it should be.
Yeah. Do you find, though, that the actual cohesion of being revert from maybe being brought up in the faith, though, has come together? Or have there been times where that's also been a little bit difficult to sort of bridge that as a community?
When I first became Muslim 18 years ago, I think that there was a real division where you're very welcomed. When I became Muslim, one of the things I really loved was that family feel. You're very welcome. They will bring you in their home. I was taught how to cook by a Somali family. I was shown the culture by an Algerian family. You know, you get really brought in because, generally speaking, and not to stereotype, but it is accustomed to a lot of these cultures that are just like really loving and family, and they have big family, and that was beautiful. So in that way, you are very much brought in. But beyond that surface level, I think there's still a lot of isolation. There was still a lot of isolation where it still was quite divided into cultural sections. And I really see coming into the last perhaps 5 years that we're really working towards changing that. There are more charities that are working towards bridging the gap between reverts and non-reverts. Now we are more into, in the UK anyway, second, third generational Muslim children who often describe themselves as reverts because they were in the clubs, they were doing things that I was doing, and they're trying to come back into relearning their religion in the same way. So there are a lot more bridges that are being built, but we do have a long way to go. And I think, again, personally, it's always coming back to the conversation starters, the communication, taking the steps, doing the networking, not isolating ourselves. And I always stand by the sentence, stronger together. So it's not a them and us. It's the same with Muslims and non-Muslims. It's not a them and us. It's a humanity. As long as you're a good person, we're striving towards a better world. And we can only do that when we work together, I believe.
And it seems to come back round to Power of Voice Academy and really what you're advocating through the organisation in terms of equipping and giving people a voice.
I believe that your voice is the greatest tool that you own. It's the greatest tool for change. It's the greatest tool to stand up for the voiceless. It's the greatest tool to showcase who you are. You cannot see my mouth move. You can hear. What I teach in my personal training is to hand your soul the microphone, to hand your heart the microphone, to allow your voice, regardless if you can see me or not, to amplify and change minds. You honestly can put yourself as a leading authority in your industry when you speak up. And so, yeah, the power of the voice is more powerful, I think, than we even understand.
What would you like the legacy of your voice to be?
Wow. The legacy I would like my voice to be is to not judge a book by its cover. I want to make people understand that whether you think you're too fat, you're too thin, you're not looking way, if we're talking about women look in the magazines, they don't look like that themselves. They're heavily filtered. No one is perfect. But it's when we learn to embrace our imperfections and stand up and speak up, that's when we can start living. I believe that I lost the part of myself because I allowed myself to be silenced by oppressors, silenced by my limiting belief and misunderstanding. And when you find your voice, there's so much power to it because it's finding yourself, it's accepting who you are, it's speaking up now, not tomorrow, because you'll never be ready tomorrow. There will never be a time that you feel ready. And it's just seizing that moment today and speaking up, taking your power back, being unapologetic. Not everybody is going to like you. Not going to like me. Most people probably don't. But speak for the ones who need to hear you. Speak for the ones who can benefit from the words that you're going to say. And success is not defined by anyone else except the steps that you take and the words that you dare to say. So that's the legacy I want to leave behind, that your voice is powerful and it deserves to be heard.
Amazing. Khalila, thank you so much. That felt like a very powerful discussion. So thank you for sharing your insights. I think your demonstration of how important voice is and how much it can give to a community is very clear. And I hope that people listening to the podcast today are able to take on board that whether they're part of the Muslim community or not, that the power of their voice opens doors to support, it opens doors to tell their story, it opens doors to empower, it opens doors to create opportunities for themselves and for others, and ultimately it can be the very beginning of the legacy that they choose to leave behind.
Oh, beautiful. I just want to say thank you so much. It means the world that women like you are here to support and hear voices that are often underrepresented. And we just appreciate you so much. I work with loads of non-Muslims too, and they're always like, listen, if you can show up on stages in front of thousands and make the room cry and laugh, what is my excuse? I can't even see your face. So it's just, definitely using our voice however we are. And again, thank you. And it's been wonderful having this conversation with you.
Oh, you're welcome. It seems that the power of your voice is changing lives. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Leading Communities podcast. I do hope that you've been inspired by the conversation that we've had today with Khalila. And of course, you know that we will be back real soon with another one, so make sure you join us again. Thank you.